Welcome. I'm Shellie Carter, owner and founder of Alder Healing Center, and welcome to the center. Here's part of the team.
Welcome.
Hello and welcome.
It's so great that you could join us today. We're here to provide holistic health for the body, the mind, and the spirit. Enjoy your time. I've always wanted a healing center since I was 7. And as life takes on many journeys, I went into actually business management and marketing. And so then I was talking to my sister one day and left my second husband, and we were talking about, what do I want to do now? I can do anything I want to do, not because I have to take care of somebody, but what am I passionate about? And so she's like, well, you always wanted a healing center, Shellie. And I'm like, no, I didn't. She's like, yeah, you did. And I'm like, well, how did you know? And she's like, I used to read your journals when you were little. I'm like, wait till I see you next. And so in that discovery, it's like, oh yeah, and I used to write about how do I get there? How do I get there? And then it was in my mid-30s, I started learning about health and nutrition and how to better take care of yourself, and that began my journey. It was about 2001, I took my business full-time, and we're still here. So that's how I've gotten here. I first started learning about Reiki. I've seen things, felt things, heard things since I was a little girl and didn't understand what some of those things are. And then a friend of mine said, you might want to talk to a psychic. And I'm like, okay, that goes against my spiritual belief, but in I'll say in the religious world, I couldn't get a lot of questions answered. And it wasn't until I saw the psychic, she helped me understand my gifts and how to use them and what they're about. And so, and I found that the more that I prayed, the more spiritual activity would actually happen. And so it was really a discovery of what is going on in the world around me. And then I took some Reiki classes. I'm a Reiki master teacher. And then in the process of that and beginning to work with clients individually, I went to medical massage school. And so everything I do is a certification. And then from there, working with massage, it's like everybody I'm massaging and working with was dealing with constipation. And in the process, I was also dealing with it. And then I learned about colon hydrotherapy. And so it's been a step-by-step evolution of learning different techniques and therapies to not only help myself on my own healing journey, but to help others on their journey. Again, I started back 2001 full-time. And then as I was in training and learning different techniques, it was 3 years prior to 2001 that I actually started a part-time practice, renting space from doctors and other therapists, and continuing to expand in what I do. And I've been in this office for about 2.5 years now. Services I offer, there's a plethora of them. The heart and soul of the practice is there's 2 pieces to that, is detox and cleanses and colon hydrotherapy, really taking care of your gut. Because when your colon's out of balance, it affects every other area. The other is a wide base of energy therapies. So besides the colon hydrotherapy, we support the colonics with detoxes and cleansing programs through Nature Sunshine products. There's a few other products we may incorporate in. But that's the one product line that I absolutely love working with because they're certified organic. Reflexology, Reiki, healing touch, shamanic work, readings, intuitive readings. I'm also a prophetic prayer minister, which is an actual deliverance program I take people through, and where I start depends on really where they're at in life. And there's different classes I teach and speak. And so we have our Basic Energy 101 class. We have our meditations that are custom designed individually. We also have group sessions. We have done a lot of classes inside the center here, and now I think we're going to end up going more virtually given where we think the world's going right now. And let's see, other services would be like EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. That's tapping on meridians to clear through blockages. CranioSacral Therapy, and then we're going to have ROXANNE in a minute and to share more about what that is. And we have a chiropractor who also offers functional medicine. And who am I missing? Eva teaches Reiki classes. Oh, and we also do house blessings and cleansings, and whether it be houses or businesses. And a lot of some of the services you have to be here for, like the colon hydrotherapy. But most everything else we can do virtually and at a distance. So for our global clients, you can reach us anywhere where we can work with you. So I've primarily stayed around this area from Carroll Stream to Warrenville. I did saunter off to Aurora and then Wheaton, and then as I was looking at where's my next location going to be, I wanted to be there for a while. And why I chose this location is, first of all, it resonated with me. My landlord's amazing, and having a great landlord had everything to do with why I chose this location. And then it's really close to off the main highway, so we're super easy to get to, and I absolutely love it here. Wow, a lot of our business comes in through referrals from clients that have been here before. And then we also have a website, which is alderhealingcenter.com. And then we're on the social media platforms that we're on is Facebook, which would be Alder Healing Center. And we have a YouTube channel. We're on Instagram. YouTube is Alder Healing. Instagram, Twitter, it's all Alder Healing Center. So you can find us on those platforms. And of course, then there's different doctors that I've partnered with and we work with and refer back and forth with. So when people call in, we have an AI to actually answer the phones, the messages, and things like that. It's been a lifesaver. And then we have a software program for scheduling, so people can actually schedule online. They don't have to talk to somebody. And I find a lot of people these days, since they're more technologically savvy, they'd rather just go online, book their appointments, boom, they're done, and then we review and send them out their paperwork that they need to work with. And then in terms of therapies and treatments, I love using frequency because we also offer light therapy and PEMF, which is pulse electromagnetic field therapy. I'm also a bioenergetic practitioner, and I love the new technology that helps to rebalance the body, the mind, and the spirit. And so we can actually pinpoint to small percentage where there's an imbalance in the body and what's going on. So I love that technology has evolved to that level, and it's been really great. I would say the biggest ethical concern would be honoring our client space or our patient space. And what I mean by that is when we go into the treatment room, that room becomes like Las Vegas. Whatever is said there stays there, so that way their privacy is maintained. And the other thing that a lot of clients like is, because we do have a team of therapists that work together, we support each other with the clients to have them have the best possible experience while they're here. Yeah, a big part of it overcoming ethical concerns is just being upfront with everybody, letting them know how the session is going to go, addressing their concerns when they come up, following the guidelines with the FDA and the CDC, making sure everything here is sanitized and taken care of, sterilized, using medical grade equipment, and not going the cheap route. I've always looked at the best quality for the best outcome for those that come here. the team of people we have here makes a big difference for what sets us apart from other places. One of the things my clients say the most is, I love coming here because we know that you guys work together. And when we walk in, we just feel this sense of peace that we've never felt anywhere else. And we have this experience that we're being well taken care of while we're here. And that would be one of the biggest things that sets us apart, besides how we manage and take care of people from the beginning to the calls to making sure all the equipment's up and running in the way that it should be. So I have had many mentors throughout my life with my business and for me personally. And I feel that no one succeeds by themselves or alone. And it takes, just like they say, it takes a village to raise a family. It takes a village to build a business. And so I would have to say one of my favorite mentors, I've done work with the WBDC, which is the Women Business Development Center. And then they set you up with a mentor, and it's such a great experience. So I have mentors for the business, I have mentors for the spiritual aspect of the work that I do. And we were talking about this earlier, there's a lot of people I've mentored along my journey, and I continue to mentor, whether it be helping them build their business or whether it be helping them in their walk through elevating their own spiritual awareness and beyond. First of all, if it's something you're passionate about and it's something that you feel you have that calling for, don't give up. It's not like you step into your business and everything is a bed of roses and everything's going to go great. But who are you going to be in the face of? There's no agreement from anybody. Who are you going to be in the face of things just aren't working out the way that you thought they would? And just to keep going and keep moving forward. And when you feel like you're stuck, or maybe not even stuck, find somebody that you can reach out to and say, hey, I need some help here, or I need advice in this area, or who do you know that can support me in this, to help you fulfill on your vision or your passion and what you're wanting to create for yourself. Welcome back, and this is Dr. Israel. He is part of the Alder Healing Center team, and I'd like to take a moment and Dr. Israel, introduce yourself. What got you to where you're at today?
Okay, my name is Shmuel Israel, and I started this journey when I was about 5 years old.
5 years old.
I asked the question, like who am I? Who am I, and why am I here?
Right.
Yeah. That's the question that people have to ask themselves to begin the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so I focused a lot on my health and spirituality, and so that brought me to going to school to be a doctor.
Okay, so Dr. Israel is a chiropractor here and also does functional medicine and also helps people on the spiritual side with stress and beyond. So as a doctor of chiropractics and functional medicine, what was your schooling like? What did you have to do to get that?
Well, of course, I had to complete as an undergrad. Okay. So I graduated and got a degree in biology, liberal arts and sciences, and then I started chiropractic school, and I completed that at the school out here in Lombard.
Oh, the National College of Chiropractic. Okay.
And then I started practice in 1985, and after that I started learning some different things. I took the course in functional medicine in 2009.
Okay.
And the rest has been history. And the reason I took the functional medicine test, because I found that sometimes I would adjust the patient and they wouldn't get better, and I wanted to know why. So I started asking the questions like, what's going on in your life?
Yeah.
And that shot me in a new direction.
Yeah, and it's amazing how your emotions and your spirit and your spiritual self and stress can affect how the body's going to actually work or not work. And one of the things our team is really great for is creating a bridge from getting to point A to point Z and whatever that journey is for you. So what would your clients have to say about you? Because you see a lot of people. So what would they have to say with their experience working with you?
In a few words, they would say, I'm very thorough.
Yeah.
And they said it because I have a lot of questions that address several areas of their lives. And so...
Like what areas would that be?
We address the physical and structural for the chiropractic.
Okay.
And then we address the energetic part of their life, because everything is energy.
Yes.
And then we address the emotional part, because sometimes there are things that we made decisions and choices when we were younger that are still going on.
Well, and even things maybe our parents said that was right for them but may not be right for you.
Right.
So so trying to figure out like what is right for me? Who am I?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we address that, because some things you're tired of, you want to get rid of, and you've completed it, but they run in a cycle. And they're going to continue the cycle until you say, I've had enough.
Yeah.
And then we address...
And so you provide people with the tools to be able to say, I'm done with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's the family side of it, but we want to make sure that everybody in our families are respected. Because in a lot of families, there's a lot of drama going on. There's... what you call dysfunctional families, and
anybody know of anybody?
and all of us we love our families.
Yeah.
We want to love everybody in the family, whether they're parents, step parents, uncles, and even some of those people in our families that have abused us.
Yeah.
We want to be able to forgive them, so that we can move on.
Yeah, that forgiveness is such a huge piece to healing, and I've had so many clients that say, I'm not forgiving that person, and it's like, just, I think they don't get that forgiveness is for you, not necessarily for that other person, to set you free. So I want to dive into digestive health, colon hydrotherapy. We've added another, you have a lot of different tests that are available depending on what people are dealing with their hormones and things like that. Yeah. So you did this test, it's a stool test, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But before you did that, one of the services we offer is the Zyto scan to find out where there's imbalances in the body in 4 core areas and then 6 lifestyle areas. And so you did that test, and what did it show you?
Well, when we did the test, you said there's something going on in your gastrointestinal system, and what do you think about that? And I said everything is okay.
Yeah, you did say that. I'm like, okay.
And when I took the GI map, it showed that what the GI map did was showed what my good bacteria was. It outlined my pathogenic, my bad bacteria, and it shows the levels, and it also shows like my interleukin-6, which are like your hormones, how they're in balance, out of balance. Yeah. And so
and I'm going to say too, I also like that it showed all the different strains of like what we would say probiotics, that
Yes.
type of thing, where there's imbalances with that, which
Yeah.
like a lot of people when they're coming in, they've been to a lot of doctors and they're like, I still feel out of balance and not sure what to do. And so then they end up coming here to try to help discover what's going on. And so I love that this test is available.
Yes.
So would you mind sharing with us what your test results showed?
Well, it showed that I had approximately 4 of the pathogenic bacteria that were high, which meant that I had some inflammation going on. And although I didn't have the symptoms, it was a good way for me to, understand what was going on in my body, because I would say nothing was going on, but I did. Sometimes I would feel blah. Sometimes I would feel like there's that I didn't quite digest my food. I didn't have major symptoms of GERD, but I had just a little bit.
Yeah.
And so that also showed on the test that my hydrochloric acid was really low in digesting my proteins.
Gotcha. Okay. I really love that you said you presence us to that you didn't have any symptoms. And I know a lot of people who are watching this today is like, my health is fine, everything's okay, but until you have like a test like this, or you might feel a little off sometimes and not really know why, right?
Yeah.
And that this test can actually uncover a lot of things. And a lot of our, believe it or not, a lot of our emotions come from the gut. So 95 of serotonin is actually created in the gut, goes up to the brain, or 85%. So, no, it is 95%. Yeah. So keeping a healthy digestive tract and a healthy gut is actually going to help with brain function, with sleeping, mental fogginess, and even that. A lot of clients are coming in with that GERD and the acid reflux, and some people think, well, it's too much acid, but what we know is that it's not enough acid, and what do you do? So the partnership with Dr. Israel and I has been a great symbiotic one, because he can take you to that next level. So,
and it's nice that you said that, because that's very important. I usually say that the gastrointestinal system is the opener of the way. Everything is based upon that, because that's why you digest your food, you assimilate your food. It's broken down so that you can make new cells, and it's based all on your DNA. That's the template. And if you give it inferior material, it's gonna start making those mistakes later on.
Yeah.
And some of the mistakes you mentioned, the brain fog, and you have Alzheimer's and things like that. And there are some practitioners that are able to make a difference in that by going to the gut, because that's where you have your second brain.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what would you like to leave our audience with today? What would you want people to know in terms of what would you like them to know?
I like them to know, I'd like you to know that whatever your dreams are, whatever your aspirations, whatever you want your health to be, however you want your life to work, it all starts with you examining yourself and saying that I really want to love life. I want to be as well as I want. And one of the things I always say, I want to live to be 100 years old, but I want to be healthy, a healthy 100.
Yeah.
And so you always have to, use that type of language to describe exactly how you want to live your life. And I know that's detailed, but everyone can detail exactly how they want their life to be. You don't want to just say, I want to live to 100, and then you could be anyway.
And then you keep doing the things that you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can be in misery.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be in misery. And when I die, I'd like to just sleep.
I hear you there.
So there's many things that a person can do. When they look at their life, they can look at how they're sleeping, they can look at their cleansing, you know, you got to detox, you got to do everything you can to make sure that your gastrointestinal system works.
Yeah, and so, you know, Dr. Israel is seeing clients virtually, so you can reach out to us, we'll get you scheduled for your appointments, and we're here for you. And so thank you for joining me, Dr. Israel.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I'd like to welcome LaTonya D. Hinton. She's a client here at the Alder Healing Center. And LaTonya, I'd like you to share a little bit about who you are, the journey you're on, and how did you find us?
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Shellie. I found you all happenstance, if you will. So I was actually at a gym and rock store, and I saw flyers that shared that you all were around, and so I made it a point to look for you all. I was told that you all were right around the corner from the gym and rock shop, and I'm like, okay, I'll go see. So I went one time looking and couldn't find you. I'm like, okay, well, maybe not this time. And so it was on another occasion, many months later. Sure enough, I went to the gym store and rock store again.
Yeah.
And they said, she's right around the corner, you can't miss her. I'm like, okay. So I looked again, no success. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's just not meant for me to go this time. So on one particular day, I needed to drive, just drive and keep going.
Yeah.
Had no idea where I was going, but I was just driving. And just so happened I found you. I wasn't even looking, searching, I found you.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, wow, this has to be God. Has to be God. And so I'm glad I found you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was interesting because I'm always in a session with client, and I just happened to come out to the reception desk, and in walks LaTonya. And so it's rare that I would actually have the time and opportunity for us to talk.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And thus began our journey.
Absolutely. And it's been wonderful.
Yeah, awesome. And so you've been involved in a few of the different services we offer, from
Yes.
colon hydrotherapy to CranioSacral Therapy, and then
Reiki.
and then you've taken our basic energy 101.
And
Of course.
it has been wonderful. So within the class, we've gotten a chance to first and foremost be able to relate to people who are like-minded. And we've gotten a chance to be ourselves.
So what does that mean for you, be yourself?
For me, it is to be able to be okay with who I am, the way that I am.
Yeah.
And not be stigmatized, ostracized based on culture, if you will.
Okay.
From my culture, my background, Reiki has been somewhat of a stigma, if you will. Coming from a church background, it's not something that's looked upon as godly.
Yeah.
But I have learned otherwise more and more throughout my journey that is not so. And so I have just been so blessed to be able to take part in Energy 101 to get a better understanding of what energy is and how it actually is involved in our everyday life.
Yeah. So how do you see things showing up for you differently now than before you took the class? Because I know there were some particular questions and things you were dealing with that you've gotten clarity around.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, for example, would be culture.
So when you say culture, can
Yes.
you define more of what you mean by that?
Okay, for me, in the African American community,
Okay.
it has been like a stigma with Reiki. It's been considered a taboo or going against God.
Yes.
And what I found in all actuality is Reiki is very similar to the laying on of hands.
Yeah.
And so I am just blessed to be able to have that experience with you and with my peers in energy one-on-one.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
It's such a pleasure to have you in the class, and the class is very, very interactive.
Yes.
You get some things to work on during the week,
Yes.
and then I love, part of one of my favorites is the last class where we're doing the holographic visualization.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and what everybody, because there were 8 in this course, and what everybody got from actually working on each other, and there's the breadth of those that have never had this experience, right?
Yes.
To those experienced, and it's just amazing.
Yes, very much so. I was blessed to be able to touch a person's liver.
Yeah.
Not literally, but figuratively. And it was the most amazing experience for me, as well as them.
Yeah.
To be able to just take the time and sense and feel and know what's going on within that person is like truly awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
Good. That's awesome. It's been such a pleasure working with you.
It has been such a pleasure being tutored by such an awesome teacher.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome, Roxanne.
Hello.
So Roxanne Garcia is another one of my therapists, and she is gifted in so many different ways. And so I'm going to let you share a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you're at today.
Well, my name is Roxanne Garcia. I work with CranioSacral Therapy, and I got started about 12 years ago, and my mission is really to bring health and healing and balance into my clients' lives.
Okay, good. So what got you there?
When 13 years ago, not 14 now, my daughter was born, and she had some injury during birth. And so during the chiropractic visit that I had gone to, I saw a craniosacral therapist, and the craniosacral therapist helped release some tension in her neck and shoulders.
Okay.
And I noticed the tremendous impact it had on her development as an infant.
In terms of improvement and getting better and
correct,
things like that.
yeah.
Okay.
And so along her journey of healing and regeneration of the damaged nerves that were happening, I've discovered that I really enjoyed seeing this therapist work. I got more information on what the therapy was, craniosacral therapy was, how healing touch can be so impactful, especially on a growing body. And I started taking classes, learning the different modality of and the different transitions in the body, and the tremendous impact it can have just to heal.
Yeah, and babies respond so well to a lot of the energy type therapies, which is amazing. So tell us a little bit about craniosacral therapy. What is it?
Craniosacral therapy is a very light touch therapy. I work with the nervous system, the fascia of the body, to help release stress, find where that tension is really built in the body, where it's emotionally maybe beholding due to trauma or injury, and really help facilitate that ability for the body to find that, heal, and remove that tension.
So cranial is your head. And then sacral is the tailbone. So you're actually working from, and I always say as above so below, and as below so above. So it makes sense that craniosacral, you're like working it symbiotically to help the body. So what are some of the biggest differences you've noticed with your clients? And before we even get into that, so some people think that craniosacral sacral or when you're working on the cranium that you're actually manipulating something. And I tell them, well, yes and no. And it's not like you're going to a chiropractor and they're cracking and adjusting. You're actually, it's a very
very gentle touch. I liken it more to acupressure rather, or acupuncture, which is people are more familiar with,
okay.
than an adjustment or a massage even.
Yeah.
So it's very gentle, but it, even as gentle as it is, it works very deeply in the body because I work with the nervous system.
Yeah.
And I find those areas and those pathways of tension and stress and constraint and help release them.
Yeah. So how do you find clients respond? And I know that you work with from in utero all the way up through...
Yeah. My youngest client I worked with was from egg.
Okay.
To now the
you mean conception?
From conception, yeah.
Okay.
To now he's a year old, and so I'm sorry. What was the question? I got distracted on the babies.
No, that's okay. I know she's got so much baby love. It's amazing, and even as adults, that's the experience you have when you're coming in. It's just that young, being blanketed with love when you come in to see Roxanne.
Yeah.
So clients' experiences.
Oh, so they have, well, I deal with a wide range of clientele. So people with traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic headache, migraines, TMJ, emotional and traumatic issues from their childhood. And through the time that I spend with them in the first session, I make a plan and see where we need to be, where they would like to be, and really finding that space where that they can develop the skills or release what they need to be released. I have had clients coming in with just consistent migraines, no medications or therapies. Other therapies had worked, and now they, from a scale of 1 to 10, they were at 10s and 11s. Now they say, well, sometimes I don't even get a headache during the day, and I've had days without headaches.
Yeah.
So it really, there's a lot of benefit when it comes to relaxing the nervous system, relaxing the body. I have clients with post-traumatic stress disorder, and this really works well with them because it calms down that fight and flight mode that they go through when they're having an episode. And then we can also figure out where those triggers are coming from and helping release some of those areas of tension, whether it be an emotional or physical response that there's triggering them.
Yeah. So one of the things I love about the craniosacral therapy, when people are coming in for colonic, when you go through some type of trauma, now we've got COVID going on and other things going on in the world, a lot of people are holding that stress in their gut, or they're holding their breath, or their shoulders are really tight. But just think of when the muscles are tight on the outside, they're also tight on the inside, so it affects every system, every organ of the body. And there's a lot of times when why I really love Roxanne being here, besides she's gorgeous and she's amazing with the work that she does, is that when people are so tight in the belly and they're so backed up, the craniosacral therapy really helps not just calm down the nervous system, but it helps to release some of those hidden traumas. So when they do come in for colonics and other types of therapies, their sessions are so much better.
It really works synergistically with releasing the traumas in the nervous system. One of the things that I've noticed during sessions, and I'll explain this to the clients before they even get started, is you may hear gurgling or noises in the stomach and the gut, and you may even have the necessity to pass gas, and I encourage them to do so, even though it's a little awkward at sometimes, but it's good because if you're holding that stress in, that's doing the opposite of what we're trying to do. We're trying to release things. And so working with the body, even starting at the head and the neck and shoulders, I begin hearing the rumbling in the stomach because you're working with the nervous system, the vagus nerve in the body, and that goes through the organs, through the lungs, through the guts, and really helps just relax that. Works very good with colon hydrotherapy or lymphatic drainage beforehand because it helps release so that the lymphatic system can work better.
Yeah, so true. And with that, when those traumas are released, it's like people have a whole new experience of life and energy and vitality, and a lot of people coming in are wondering, well, what's next for me, and how do I get myself out of this place of being stuck into looking at, what is new for me in my life and how am I going to move forward? And a lot of people are coming in with depression and just
Anxiety.
so sad and anxiety over the top, and wondering, do I stay with my partner, do I leave my partner because we're like this, because now we're all under one household, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so they're wanting answers to, this is a new world for us now, and how do we navigate through that?
Yeah. And part of what I do is help coach them through those thoughts and emotions, both physically and verbally. I'll talk to them and help them talk out some of those scenarios and situations. And it's interesting because depending on where I am in their body, whether I'm under their sacrum or their shoulders or their hips, different topics will come up. And so I'll help, and that talking sometimes will help bring up those topics and the emotions behind the topics so that they can have a deeper, more systematic release of what's going on.
One of the things I think, which is one of the coolest things, is when people actually release their emotions through tears. And some people are like, well, I don't want to cry, but we came to this earth to experience all the emotions, right? So why do we want to stop something that's just wanting to boil and gurgle out? And it's, part of the question earlier is what makes us unique and different is that we create a safe space for people really to be real and authentic for where they're at in the moment, and then have that show up, so they can actually go to those dark places or those places that they wouldn't normally share with somebody. They are free to do that here, and they say they feel safe to be able to do that. That's the type of environment that we create for people. So
safe, loving, compassionate.
Yeah. Anything else, Roxanne, you'd like to share with us?
One of the other experiences that I really enjoy sharing with a lot of my clientele is I had a teenage boy who was around the age of 15, and he was on spectrum, and he was very nervous and anxious and starting freshman year of high school, and so he was having all those normal emotions, but on top of that, being on spectrum, having a lot of difficulty processing those emotions. And so when he came in, he had a lot of the twitches and the jitters, and I laid him down and we talked a little bit, and within the first 5 minutes of the session, I felt his energy go from nervous fight and flight to and he kind of closed his eyes and said, I've never felt this relaxed in my life. And that was really the moment where I thought, yeah, this is it. This is the right thing.
And that's why you keep doing what
And that's
you
what
do.
I keep doing for moments like that.
Yeah. Now, you also offer Reiki, and you also, at the center, we also offer what we're calling calming massage before your colonics, which is specific belly work and back work before you come in. And so what has that experience been like doing the tummy massage? Because you're used to working in a whole different world with energy work versus on the body like that, right?
Correct. So this has been a very eye-opening experience, because now that I'm deeper into the organs and the muscles and the tissues that are separating and all the energy levels in between those areas, it really shows me a deeper and another perspective of what's going on in the body and where things are being held, both emotionally and physically.
Yeah. So it's almost like each organ, each system has a story to tell, or a story it's been wanting to tell and didn't have the space to do that. So I love like those in-between spaces, because that's where the magic happens. And so cool. So cool. I'm so glad to have you part of the team.
Me too. It's a pleasure being here. Really, the energy of the team and the energy of the space that we have here is, every single client that has ever come in here says this is a magical space.
Yeah.
So, and it truly is. It truly is magical.
Yeah. So thank you for being available for this morning. Yay. Susie, welcome.
Thank you.
So this is Susie.
Bakievska.
And I've known Susie for quite a few years now.
Mhm.
And so she's been coming to the center as a client. And so why don't you share a little bit about your story? What brought you to the center?
Well, I was searching up colonics, and I ran into Shellie's information, and I'm like, well, what better than Shellie, because she's been doing this for many, many years. And to entrust into that personal space, you know, it would only be
If you know what I mean.
So I feel really comfortable with her. Many, many years ago, when she was in Elmhurst, I was a property manager for the building that she worked at. That's how I knew her from previous. So I knew I was in great hands, and I was on to my spiritual growth. So I came in, and actually, I came in for a colonic, and we talked about my, health history, and because I've had a little, a little bit of too much in my abdominal area. So I had an abdominal hernia after childbirth. I had a C-section with my second child. I had pre-rupture of the membrane from a child that I lost previous. And also I have rectostasis, which is like the big thing, which is, most probably know, a separation of your abdominal muscles.
Okay.
And so it's about 7 inches apart. So Shellie could have been greedy and said, oh, let's do colonics and I'll get you in a package. But instead, she said, look, with your health history information, it's best that we start off with some energy work first to kind of get to the root and the core of the problem.
Yeah. So I'm going to stop you just for a second because and I'm glad you brought this up because not everybody that comes in for a colonic will I do a colonic. Every single thing we do here is for your safety and mine, and that's another thing that really sets us apart. And so there are some people I'll send to the hospital, or some people I'll send to the emergency room, or some people I'll send to their doctor, or some people I'll put on a cleanse. I've had the opportunity to work with colorectal specialists and to rent from doctors, so there's a vast base of knowledge I have that most therapists will never ever have. And so when somebody comes into the center, yes, they're filling out a health history form, and then of course the form's only so big, so then when we get into discussing what happened, how it happened, why it happened, I'm always playing detective and looking at, okay, is this the right service for you, or should we start somewhere else first and then go into that service? So go ahead.
Yeah, so actually I had a energy clearing session with her with a little bit of Reiki incorporated in it. And I've had Reiki multiple times. I'm a very spiritual person at heart, and I love clearing energy. So I went to Shellie, but hers is different. I love it because we as people, all individuals, carry so much. We as moms, people just in general, like you could have work stress, you could have relationship stress, God knows we all have at one point in our lives. And just all of it builds, like you could have family issues, you could have this and that, and not even just having issues, just dealing with the stress. You could go be at a supermarket and like pick up somebody's negative vibe and energy. I'm very susceptible to energy. So I like to get it cleared because when you're more susceptible, it carries with you.
It's kind of like an empath, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Shellie's service was completely different. Nothing that I've ever seen before, because when she was working on me, I actually felt like I was in a surgical room and she was sewing my rectus diathesis back together. It was pretty amazing. So my abdominal walls felt much better, felt more secure. I just felt better and whole. So I started off with that, and I did a little bit of CRANIALSACRAL with ROXANNE. She was amazing too.
Yeah, what was that experience like?
Oh my God, it was amazing. She even determined, she said, my first session with her actually, she's like, there was something that happened in childbirth, or not childbirth, excuse me, childhood. There was a trauma, and I'm like, thinking back, like, oh yeah, it was, because she's like, you get a lot of headaches. I'm like, yeah, I always get headaches constantly. When the weather changes, I'm very susceptible to biometric pressure, when it drops and all that. Anyway, so a grandfather clock fell on me when I was really little. I swear to God, I was messing around with the cables, and it fell. And back in the day, your parents are like, oh my God, like I was crying for hours. And they're like, oh, she's fine. Okay, she doesn't need to stand.
Just kind of brush it off.
Yeah,
and she's fine.
Like, yeah, she's good. She's good. Not that they were neglecting me, but that's just old school European families. So anyway, yeah, that's what she determined. And after I had the craniosacral completed, I have not gotten headaches. Like, just amazed because with all the weather changes and everything we had.
And of course the weather's been crazy these days. So
yeah. And actually, I even brought in my kids because they had a lot of remote stress with the remote learning.
So your kids are all learning from home?
Yes.
Now?
Yeah.
Now, didn't they go back to school and now they're back home?
Yeah, so they started and then they went back. So I have Hope and Faith, and Hope was going back for a little bit and then she went back. So regardless, they just have a lot of stress. I have a 3rd grader and an 8th or 7th grader, and just a lot to do. And they're getting adjusted to it, but just there's stress, there's anxiety. They don't get to play outside. They don't get to mingle with like friends and be social, with all the COVID pandemic going on. So I brought them in for a session and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. And then Hope actually had the reverse, I forgot what it was called, with her energy.
Oh, reverse energy.
Yes.
Field.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she put her back into the regular dynamic of, because her energy would spin sometimes and she would just get sidetracked. She would have like a million tabs open and be like, Mom, I'm so stressed, I can't focus.
Focusing was,
Yes.
Yeah.
But afterwards, she honestly, I put her in the light therapy room because we also have a session here for that. And she knocked out for 2 hours.
Really?
The best sleep she's ever had in her life.
Need to get some sleep? Come in here.
Get a craniosacral, I'm telling you. And energy work from Shellie.
So I want to take a minute and talk about, because now 5G is up, EMFs, radio waves, microwaves, the things that you can't see, kind of like the spirit world.
Yes.
We're all being bombarded with those things. So people are really finding focusing to be really difficult. And then when you look at being in front of a computer all day long, because a lot of people working from home. I was talking to one of my clients the other day and they're like, at work I would get up and walk around, and when I'm at home I feel like I need to be home and diligently working, and so I don't get up as much and I'm not hydrating as much. And so, it's not just working from home, it's the dynamics of how do you find that balance of making sure you're hydrating, making sure you're eating, and still doing the things that you need to do. But then I saw on social media there was a mom working at her computer and had her kids duct taped, bound up, so she could actually work. Not funny, but it was like got the message across, right?
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that we're finding with adults and even with children, since there's so much e-learning now and they're in front of the computers so much more, they're a whole lot more distracted, and so parents are finding that their kids are acting out more and that they're having behavioral issues, and the socializing is like, that's so key and so critical. So I'm really glad that you brought that up.
Yeah.
So how, from working with ROXANNE with your kids, your daughters, what did you notice the days following?
Well, my youngest, Faith, would even have a little bit of aggression before. Like, she can't find a paper or something that the teachers, I'm like, oh my God. She would just get agitated and aggravated. And I'm like, oh, this is like anger. I've never seen it before. Yeah. So afterwards, it was like they were both at peace and they were doing so much better with their studies. They're more focused. Concentration level is better. And they're just getting to it. Like, my oldest used to help me, ask for more help. And now she's like, I got this, Mom.
Wow, that's awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to give you some peace of mind. Because I know that you were kind of struggling with working with them and just all of what you were dealing with the computers, the phones,
just life in general.
Yeah.
Way back when in March, before, when it first all happened, I'll tell you, the school districts, at first it was like, you couldn't even cook a meal, like a decent healthy meal for them. You had to be with them 24/7. At least now they're kind of getting it together, and they have breakout rooms and they have instructors, but I'm also with District 205, which is one of the best districts.
Awesome.
So that helps, but yeah. So, all of it does. So I want to get them in for a session with you as well.
Okay.
With energy work,
good.
so that'll be great.
Yeah, very good. And so then you've been in this journey for working on yourself, and of course right now we still can't do the colonic, and we're working with different herbs and things like that to help in different ways in homeopathics.
Yes.
And so you also started a new journey while you've been working with the different therapists here.
So, you can go to-
Okay, so Susie has come on staff working for us because of the environment that's here and that it's a safe environment. And there honestly is not one of us that are catty and we don't get into fights. And I've worked in different offices where people just did not get along or even talk to each other. We really work well
As a team.
together as a team, all of us. And so Susie has decided to come on and I'm just, what's your favorite thing here?
I love the energy, just everyone servicing others. So basically, everyone, just from the start of the phone call, and Shellie also has an amazing system where you can book online as well, which is great. But sometimes people want that personal touch as well, so we have both options. But just speaking with the person from initially to the end of, like say they might actually come in because they're all bottled up with nerves or stress or anxiety, and with all COVID stuff, just in general adding on to it, then they leave and it's like, they're at peace and their energy is just...
And it's so cool because you can actually see the physical shift with them by the time, like we should take before and after pictures, seriously.
Yeah.
Because they come in one way and they leave
Yes.
in a completely different space. And sometimes even physically you can see the difference. So.
And so I also have some jewelry from Eva here, because you want to kind of protect yourself too, just and shield yourself with all of it, just if you're susceptible. But yeah, it's a great team. Honestly, you can't get any better. Roxanne, Shellie, like everyone just does their own thing. They do their own services. It's almost like everyone's their own individual business owner, but it comes together. And Shellie has a lot of space and a lot of different practitioners, and Nick is also a great asset to it. He does lymphatic drainage, and he's really good as well.
Actually, Nick is a specialist in his field. So if somebody's looking for, he actually works for doctors with dealing with edema, any kind of augmentation that's been done to the body. It's important to have your lymphatic drainage work done in order for it to heal properly. Nick is, I think, one of 5 specialists in the nation, and he's here, and he's seriously, he's gifted. Everybody's gifted, but I actually call him my blanket of love, because when he's working with you, you feel like you've really been well taken care of. So versus somebody just doing a therapy.
And he works with a lot of cancer patients too, right?
Yes. Yeah, he does.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. So.
Oh, and I also love the light therapy treatment. Oh my God, it's wonders for inflammation. I had a torn meniscus on my knee, and it really helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
So just keep up with that.
Yeah, very good. And so with light therapy, we do offer 1 free session, so you can just come on in and say, hey, I want a light therapy session, and we'll get you scheduled in. So, any last words, anything you'd like to share?
Come to Alder Healing Center, where your spirituality with your journey begins and it waits for you, whatever level you're at. That's what I feel. Some people could just come in for a clinic and just be like, I just want to clean the insides out because I'm just getting back on my health track because of all the COVID. I haven't been exactly what you said, eating right and whatnot. So but then they start, examining, hey, what other areas in my life do I need to kind of work on? And we have it here to offer. So come on in. We'll help you.
Well, thank you for being here
welcome.
today, Susie. And I will
my pleasure.
see you real soon.
Okay. Sounds great.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. I look forward to seeing you under the alder tree real soon.